Jean Grand-Maitre second act.
Yes.
What were we just hearing?
We were listening to his version of Rocket Man, which he performs now at his new show at Caesar's Palace, and because his songs have evolved with his voice as well. And it's interesting to see how he's matured well in his career. Not many have lasted that long, you know.
No, I know. And do you showcase his demons a bit in this?
Well, yes, because when I met Elton and we talked about the ballet, it was interesting. He didn't talk so much about his triumphs and his success in life. He talked a lot about his challenges dealing with alcohol and drugs and his homosexual repression. And so it was eye-opening for me that, the discussion we had really talked about challenges. And he wanted this ballet to bring new audiences to the art form, new people who have never been to a ballet, but he also wanted the ballet to educate people about addiction and about dignity for people living with HIV/AIDS. And so he wanted the ballet to educate, to stimulate new audiences, so it was all about that.
Well, it's rich material.
Very rich.
But it doesn't seem it's for ballet.
It's like Joni wanted to do a ballet about the environment and war, which is not
great.
That's why these collaborations are interesting.
Legendary, I would say, down the road. And back to Bob Fosse for a minute. Genius.
Bob Fosse, genius, all that jazz, cabaret, Chicago. And, they kind of pasteurized Bob Fosse since he's passed away. He used to be very in the ground, very cabaret, and very provocative. And Elton John is that way. The rock stars are not afraid to provoke. And I told our creative staff, that this ballet has to be a rock ballet too, so it has to be a bit provocative.
Sure, it does. And younger audience and older audience. I mean,
all audiences are coming.
To entice people to come to the ballet,
and
because as you know, with arts funding in this country.
Yes, and it's bringing new audiences, and if we challenge them and really work hard at the creation, they come back. They come back and see more dance, And we're telling people to dress up, to dress up as a rock star, as Elton John, and to be daring, because we did that in Alberta when we premiered it, and it was a party in the lobby.
Really? I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely. Definitely a party if you can get
your
in
boas and your glasses and your platform shoes.
Or you could be his partner, Mr. Furnish.
Oh, yes.
And that's not quite as ta-ta.
That's a bit more of a darker suit.
A darker suit and perhaps a tie. Not sure. Is there a bridge? There's a bridge in this ballet, is there not? Like a challenging bridge. If you can get across the bridge, you can get to the other side.
He specifically helped us in creating the ballet in many ways, and choosing the title and choosing the songs. And The Bridge is from one of his latest albums. It's a beautiful song. And I said to him, I need a moment where the character goes through a metamorphosis and accepts who he is completely. And he said the song, The Bridge, is the song, because it's about having the courage to become a new person in your life. Because many of us live a life we didn't want to live, and we often don't have the courage to cross that bridge and become the person we want to be.
So when you were a little bat, did you want to be a doctor or a dentist
I wanted to be a dancer.
Lawyer?
I wanted
Always.
to be. Oh yeah. In Ottawa, I'd run backstage at the National Arts Centre and watch the Royal Winnipeg Ballet get on the bus to their next city on tour, and I wanted to get on that bus with them. And it was something from a very tender age I wanted to do.
And who taught you to dance?
A lot of people did, I'm thankful to a lot of teachers and inspirational people in my life, There's so many who believe in us when we're young. It's so important to feed young people's passions,
Absolutely. When was the last time you danced?
The last time I danced was probably 11 years ago. And I didn't like dancing all that much. I loved dancing by myself, but I was traumatized in front of an audience as a dancer. It wasn't a career. And I was very happy to go into creation right away.
Creation, but as a choreographer, now you're sitting in the audience of Love Lies Bleeding. Do you just get a tiny itch to be part of it on stage?
Some little roles, A lot of the ballets I choreographed, I wasn't good enough to dance when I was a dancer. They're very challenging, and I'm very fortunate to work with talented dancers in my life. But what you miss is the catharsis of the applause with the audience when it all comes together, if it's been a good performance. That is a high that I don't think anything in life can give you.
And of your highs, I know this is a high, the Love Lies Bleeding ballet. The Joni Mitchell experience must have been very interesting.
Yes.
The fiddle and the drum. Fumbling Towards Ecstasy with Sarah McLachlan.
That's Sarah McLachlan is
rooted
an
and down to
person.
earth. And
she is so generous.
Beautiful.
She helped fundraise, and she helped promote, and she helped create the ballet. And she's a very spiritual person. I'm very fortunate to work with these people in my life. They're far away from the ballet idiom, but they bring me to new places, new energies, and new aesthetics. and they're extraordinary people. You know, to make it in this business, the musical business, especially today, is very demanding, and they're true to themselves and their art and their music, and I've learned a lot from them. And Sarah is someone I'll never forget.
And Sarah has been that way since she was young.
Yes.
She didn't suddenly decide, I'm going to be grounded and powerful and fearless. She's been that way.
She gives a lot more than she receives.
For a long time.
To a lot of people and a lot of charities. And her music, I think she's one of the best melodic writers today.
Really?
Especially in Canada, you know. Her melodies haunt you, they stay with you, they're lullabies, they're like a balm on our modern stress, you know. There's something about her that connects us to our humanity in this crazy world we live in.
Very much so, even when she sings the Canadian national anthem.
Yes.
I know.
She's a very, very
she can do it.
Yes.
Did you work with her at all when you were here with 2010?
Yes, because that's how we got to know each other.
Choreography, and that's how it all began?
Yes, I was director of choreography.
I knew that.
For the opening ceremonies and closing, but especially the opening, I got to create one of the tableaux, which was the Sarah McLachlan tableau.
Will you tell her I want the necklace?
Yes, probably.
Okay, would you mind?
She did. You know, she was so gracious, and it was after the dress rehearsal that she pulled me aside, and we walked across the entire stadium together to get her back to her car. And she held my elbow, and we were chatting, and she saw the fiddle and drum with Joni Mitchell Ballet when we did it in Vancouver, and she said I'd be honored, you know, to collaborate on a ballet, and that's how it all started.
Where does that event, the 2010 opening and closing games, fit on your list of, oh wow?
Oh, it's the top 3 for sure. You know, my first ballet and my first premiere in Europe, and the opening and close, because it was a learning experience. I worked with many great designers, lighting, sound, David Atkins, the director.
Yes.
And so the opening ceremonies, and to capture the ethos of the Canadian nation in 45 minutes, and so many people had so many ideas, and we had so much ground to cover.
Oh, I'm sure committee.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yes, but David knew how to take all those ideas and really consolidate them in a way that was poetic and intellectual and musical, and you know, it went from Leonard Cohen to Katie Lang, and I'll never forget it. And you know, I was very proud to be a Canadian that day.
Oh, wouldn't it be great if you and Katie Lang
I'm talking to her already.
Collaborated? I bet you are.
She's from Alberta. Her family's near Edmonton.
Yes, consort.
Yeah, we were talking,
Alberta?
but she's just launched a new CD and she's touring, so we're going to wait a bit. You know,
Yes,
they need
Katie
to be
Lang in the
relaxed.
reclines.
Yes.
In the very early days with Patsy Cline. I can see a ballet.
Oh, I see many. And, you know, it's interesting because we want to continue to do these ballets. One maybe every year, every 2 years. We also do all kinds of other ballets. It's important
I hear tell.
to be eclectic.
Yes.
Yes, but there's something about these portraits. Now they're becoming portraits of these artists. You know, Sarah Fumbling is a portrait of Sarah now, you know, what her music is about. Joni as well. And Elton, I think, is a kind of portrait of the man.
Sir Paul McCartney,
Yes.
I read, wanted to do a ballet or has
He
done a
is
ballet.
right now.
He's doing a
composing
ballet.
right now a score for full orchestra in New York with the New York City Ballet. And the Pet Shop Boys in England, and Prince. So it's helping dance get new audiences, evolve into the 21st century. And you know, if you do it right, people will come back.
And what is doing it right? Because you have to do it differently, I know. You collaborate with Sarah McLachlan, Joni Mitchell, then Elton John. In your creative brain, what is doing it right? What's the magic that happens on stage because you've done it right?
I think
in all those instances, because they're so different.
Yes, and it's about capturing something about these singers that is very intimate, because they let me into their world. We chat about their music, and they tell me very intimate things. So it's about an intimate encounter with Elton John. It's like opening a bit his diary and going inside and finding how his music connects to how he lived. And in that way, I think if we do it honestly and truthfully in a very entertaining way, we've done it well.
Sure, Bachman and Turner were on tour recently across Canada, and they were at a concert, an Elton John concert, and he recognized Randy Bachman as being one of the finest guitarists going.
Yes.
And dedicated a song to him. He knows so much.
Elton John, what I admire about the man and the ego,
which makes sense.
He bows deeply to great singer-songwriters, and he has the humility to recognize great talent, and in that way I see in him what probably made him a great singer-composer is that he admired those ahead of him especially.
I bet. So Broadway/Vegas a little bit.
Yes.
Is it?
Oh yes, it's a hybrid of Broadway and Vegas and contemporary ballet and hip-hop, and I think it's everything but the kitchen sink. It's Elton John. You know?
Yes, and it's got depth and it's got vivid choreography. Of course it does, because you've done it.
Thank you.
Right. Alberta Ballet, how goes the battle in Calgary?
Oh, it's right now. I think it's a good time to be an artist in Alberta. You know, we have a stable economy. They're looking for a lot of people to move to Alberta in the next decade.
Premier.
And a female premier.
Who'd ever thought that would happen in the
a bit more
wilds?
left wing.
A big rose country, isn't it? Wild rose country.
A Muslim mayor, you know,
A Muslim mayor.
And so it's changing Alberta.
Yeah.
And it's changing because a lot of people are also moving there. And so that there's more restaurants and art galleries. And I'm very happy to be living there right now.
Well, Ballet BC, you know, has been having a bit of a financial struggle, but I hear they're
in the right hands.
In the right hands.
With Emily Molnar.
They're just about over
They're
the hump.
presenting us Ballet British Columbia.
I know.
And they're a fantastic company. They have fantastic dancers, and I encourage people to discover this very important cultural institution in this city.
Exactly. Don't go down that yellow brick road.
No.
The one to the, you
Don't-
know, debt.
Yes. Well, it's hard in the arts, you know. There's a lot of challenges. And that's why people like Elton John believe in these ballets, because they want to help us, and Sarah McLachlan as well.
Very much so. What's next for you after this?
Well, we're going to be touring Elton to Toronto, which is a very important series of dates there. And then Alberta Ballet will be performing its very first Swan Lake in the 45-year history of our company.
Really?
Kirk Peterson's Swan Lake in March, which is
No
a
Karen
big,
Kane.
No Karen Kane, but she was a phenomenal.
I know, she was here just
yes.
recently. We had a nice chat.
Oh, she's an amazing lady. And so you know, that's going to be interesting that we're going to go from Elton John to Tchaikovsky in Swan Lake in less than 4 months.
Yeah. Well, your work is cut out for you.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
doing this. Love Lies Bleeding, presented by Ballet BC, Alberta Ballet, October 13th to the 15th, and which means tomorrow night, opening night.
Yes.
Thank you. Jean Grand-Maitre.